So this is direct evidence that Nick Shirley is a liar. As I said before, the media is the enemy of the people. I say it over and over and over, and it only becomes more and more true.
This is ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis.
They have to learn ABC and numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center.
In a now viral video, right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley claims...
Right-wing YouTuber. Yep. This is what they do. It's all about framing, misrepresentation, dishonesty, lying, everything else like that. This is what they do every single time. And I just want you guys to see this because it just happens over and over and over.
Nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public funds but not providing a service.
Yes.
He says ABC Learning Center is one of them, knocking on the door in mid-December.
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Hassan says his employee didn't respond because Shirley was in a group of about 8 people, and his staff were concerned about recent ICE activity.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No.
Why would they be concerned about ICE? Do they have people that are illegal too? Yeah. Like, what's that?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed a security...
Yeah, so basically like, oh, well, we had to stop them because of the other crimes that we might be committing too.
Footage from the same day Shirley was here.
Yes.
According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center.
At least a dozen? Weren't they authorized for like 100 though? Like, so, like, let's say they have a dozen or even 24 people there. That's still over 50% that they're not even at capacity. So, like, basically, I mean, your best case scenario is that they're being paid for 100 people. It was 40. Okay, so it's 40. So, like, you have 12 and not 40. That's over half that aren't even there. So, if there's only 12 people there, it seems like you probably couldn't fit. I mean, could you fit 40 people inside of there? I would say definitely not. So, how does that even happen? Not just authorized, claiming? Yeah.
Which is licensed with the state. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
What did I do?
What did I do?
I'm just a typical human being who wants to live and do the right thing.
See, this is the kind of like slop messaging that just totally corrupts the mind of a Karen. Like that whenever a Karen hears something like that, she starts feeling bad and it's, oh no, oh my God, everybody's human, everything's fine. And it's this emotional weaponization that happens. And that's the reason why things have gotten so bad. It's the Karen kryptonite, exactly, is that they can't go against this because it could make them feel bad. It's all about their feelings, the way that they feel, what they're thinking about like that, and that kind of stuff. That's their main focus and their main goal.
Kids to feel.
Yeah, it's complete emotional manipulation, and Karens just fall for it like it's nothing. It's so easy to control them, it's embarrassing.
Umi Hassan, the daycare's current owner, believes these latest fraud accusations are political. Both she and Hassan are Somali Americans.
Well, they are political. I mean, it's true.
We pay our taxes. We do whatever we can to be a law-abiding citizen.
They do everything you can to be a law-operating citizen? Right.
At the same time, when one Somali does something wrong, we all get collective punishment.
With Shirley's video now...
Yes, exactly. How's the timeline match up? Nick showed up at 9. They show up with kids an hour later, but the place doesn't open until 2 p.m. They even fuck that up. Guys, again, you should not even engage, like, to the extent that you try to engage with these people. It's like getting in a fight with a porcupine. Like if you're, yeah, it's a different place. Well, either way, it's just, you do not even engage with the facts that they're putting out there because they're just lying. So whatever they say, whatever their explanation is, it's just bullshit anyway. You shouldn't take it seriously even for a second. So really, I mean, debunking this, like, I mean, are we really going to debunk some like fucking brain dead? These are people that can't even figure out how to change a sign. Like, what are we doing here?
Approaching 2.3 million views on YouTube alone, they say they are getting non-stop phone calls harassing them.
I was looking for a place for my granddaughter.
With many of those calls attached to out-of-state phone numbers.
Yeah.
They normally say, knock, knock, we're gonna come. You're gonna arrest, something like that.
Good.
Hassan says they turned over attendance records to comply with the Department of Homeland Security request. They're now waiting to hear back. CBS News is reviewing records related to the same daycares. All but 2 have active licenses. And Aaron, while the active places have violations related to safety or staff training, there's no recorded evidence.
So they have active violations, but there's no evidence of something else that's bad? Well, there we go, guys. There it is. And so, yeah, they find one daycare that isn't fully corrupt in order to cover for all the other ones. Smart. Yeah, exactly. Or at least that they can present as not being corrupt. And, yeah, people who hate Americans and infidels ignoring the law. What a surprise. I know. They're still distracting from all the healthcare fraud, too. Oh, that's massive. Absolutely it is. 100% there's healthcare fraud. There's huge healthcare fraud. So, yeah. And, guys, there's no evidence the MAGA YouTuber lied. They'll never have to report on it again. I know, man. And so I don't know what else to say beyond that. All but 2 have licenses. Yes, of course. And, here's another one here.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to find the local daycares.
We already know about what's going on. This is a licensed property. If you have a complaint, go to the state.
Okay, I was trying to find out if you guys are a daycare. I was just trying to see.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. If you want to know any questions, just go online and ask who you need to ask. But
no, there's nobody online to ask, so I'm just trying to ask you guys.
No, you don't have to ask us anything.
I don't have to?
If you have any questions, go
I
to the
do.
state.
I have a question. I was just asking you guys.
Living in mansions in these beautiful houses being completely funded by the federal government while average Americans work paycheck to paycheck in order to fund this lifestyle. And the reason why they're doing that, let me explain the reason why all of this happens. It's because those Americans are too cucked in order to just very simply vote against this. And these people are so aligned that if you don't give them free houses and free money, they just won't vote for you. You have to do the same thing. You do. You have to do the same thing. And if you don't do that, then they're just going to beat you. Because if they're playing the game and you're not playing the game, then you lose by default. And that's what's happening.
Okay, you guys are listed on the website.
I think it makes everybody mad.
So for daycares, so.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Then you don't need to go door to door.
It's yeah, no, you can. Yeah, I have. You can go door to door.
So if you have any questions, go call the child care check, and they'll give you whatever information that you need.
Okay, so you guys aren't a daycare then? Not a public daycare, right? Okay, I didn't think so.
Don't report our property either.
Oh, I can, yeah.
Look at that beautiful door. This is a really nice house. This is an incredibly nice house.
So these ones were really hostile. I just knocked on the door just to see if it was a local daycare listed on the websites. She said contact the state. It's interesting.
Yep. And it's better than my parents' house. Yeah, look how big this house is. This house is gigantic. Look at it. Look at this neighborhood. And they've got, look at all these nice cars, these like big SUVs. Look how big this house is. Like this house, if it was in Austin, this would be like a multi-million-dollar house. I mean, yeah, obviously we have high property value here and everything, but this is a gigantic, massive house. It's unacceptable. These people are living in luxury. That's it. They are making Americans jealous. That's right. And yeah, the Heritage American Revolt is going to be amazing. Well, I mean, it's going to be something. I'll certainly say that. And stop. I'm getting mad and violent, to be honest. Well, that's why I'm showing people. I want people to realize and to see how bad this really is. And I think that really that's the reason why, like, make no mistake, I want to radicalize people. My goal with covering this is that I want people to become radical. Because this is a radical problem. That's why I'm explaining.
This is ABC Learning Center.
Sorry. That's the reason why I'm explaining it in the way that I am. My goal is to make people as radicalized and angry and furious about this as possible, so they will be willing to take whatever steps necessary in order to stop this from happening. That's my goal. I will state it straight out 100%. That's exactly what I am trying to do. And informing is good. Yes, informing. And yes, all I'm doing here is I'm just showing people videos. I'm showing people videos and I'm saying, hey guys, this is how bad it really is. It works. Keep doing it. Yes, mission accomplished. Well, I'm doing it non-violently. Of course, non-violently. Nobody's talking about violence. Of course not. So yes, and this is it. You just, 3 boats are following each other. Well, I don't know about that. I have to look at it later on. But and I will. But we know and we support it. Yes, and this is. And by the way, this is radical. This is insane. Like this is a level of betrayal and ridiculous behavior that every single person in America should see and become furious, radicalized, and extreme about. They should. This is crazy. This is insane. You have people living in $1 million houses that are running fake daycares, living the American dream, being funded by, and these people are immigrants. They're not Americans. They don't give a fuck about America. They don't care about this at all. They're voting as a collective bloc so they can take as much of your money as possible. And I want as many people as possible to see exactly how bad it is. I'm going to make people as radicalized and angry as I possibly can because that is my goal. My goal is to do that, and then hopefully, if I do that enough, it will be one couple of drops in the bucket in the tide that will cause this to change. That is my goal. You've got to expose it. And it's that simple. They're actually American citizens based on reported data. Well, that can change. Well, you can't deport me. I'm a citizen. Well, take it away. Just get rid of it. That's it. And so, yes, absolutely. And so, yeah, this isn't like, oh my God, like you can't do this. There are no, by the way, for me, there are no red lines. There are no, like, my goal is simply to make this stop happening. That's what I want to do more than anything. And I say radical, but the truth is that this is common sense. This is the most reasonable, rational, normal, centrist perspective possible. To not allow people into your country that are scamming the government and living off of the government. This isn't like I say radical, and the only reason I say radical is because of how radical the world that we live in is. The truth is that I might seem radical, but I'm really not. Guys, if people want to address a, something I'm saying or disagree, that's fine. But you have to have an actual disagreement, not, oh, well, something that you said sounds bad. I don't care about that. It's stupid. And the people that are trying to talk about that are only doing it in order to... Oh, wait. Not another one. Oh, God. Here we go.
Like your typical single-family home, but it bills itself as an assisted living facility, and it receives a lot of taxpayer money. Here in Minnesota, the number of people getting help in assisted living facilities is up, double the growth of other programs. Wow. But here's the kicker. The rate of payment in this assisted living space is 10 to 15 times the growth in other programs.
Hi.
Wow.
So we pulled the data on assisted living facilities in the Minneapolis area. Minneapolis, as you might expect, has a lot. 160.
There's a lot of these videos coming out now? Yeah, because it's everywhere. It's all across the country.
69. St. Paul.
This is still only the tip of the iceberg. This is one of the big reasons why we're poor. This is the reason why we have no middle class. It's because all of your money is being redistributed to people like this.
With a population of 307,000, has 83. But Brooklyn Center, 30,000 population, has 106. And Brooklyn Park, population of 84,000, has 181, more than Minneapolis, a city 5 times its size. But this assisted living facility puts this all in perspective. It's owned by a man indicted for laundering $1 million in the feeding.
So it's owned by a guy that's been indicted. So that means they've already decided that he's broken the law. So he's got $1 million. Wait, what?
Our future scam. He's Gandhi Mohammed, now Gandhi Abdi Kadai, and his LLC owns the homes. His wife runs the assisted living facilities, and the state is continuing to pay as he awaits his trial. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Yep. Fucking why? Exactly. This is how bad it really is. And by the way, anybody who's lived around illegal aliens or like low income communities like this knows that this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is happening all across the country at a mass scale that I don't think that an average person can even really comprehend. We are literally spending $1 trillion, if not trillions of dollars funding these degenerate, wasteful lifestyles of these people.
We went to each of them.
We're curious because the man who owns this building was indicted in the Feeding Our Future scandal. Did you know that?
No.
Don't know that?
Yeah.
You think what?
Do you know the Feeding Our Future scandal? The scam that was, there's all these...
And do you remember how, CatDany was using the Feeding Our Future scandal as an evidence for the Biden administration doing a good job at actually stopping the fraud? But then here's a person who got indicted for it, who's still scamming, and he's living in a house that's being paid for by the government. Again, there's a lot of people that they spend so much time reading and researching things and trying to look at data that they convince themselves that what they can't see in plain sight, what they're seeing in plain sight isn't real. It's very obvious what's happening here. It's completely obvious what's happening.
Indictments related to false, billing on
debate lords.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
It's not true.
That it's not true?
It's not true. The way I know that, no.
These assisted living facilities received over $2.3 million in state money last year alone. A Minnesota Reformer article says he has been paid a whopping $49 million since 2016.
Oh my God. That's it. That's your money. And yeah.
How is it possible that this person who's been indicted in Feeding Our Future also is still collecting checks from the state, running these assisted living centers with his wife?
Elite scammers?
I honestly have no
Absolutely.
idea. It seems like the most basic due diligence would have been to run a check of all the people indicted in Feeding Our Future and then make sure they're not getting paid from other state programs. And
that's right.
At least in...
Of course. And why is that not happening? Think about that. This is why I think you underestimate how much people will keep voting for the wrong things, even when it directly affects them. Not that it isn't making people suffer the consequences, but I don't think it's nearly enough. That's why it has to get worse. Why do people do mental gymnastics to justify their viewpoint and opinions? Because they're stupid.
In this case, and I've heard perhaps in others, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
State Representative Kristen Robbins.
They don't do the due diligence on purpose. This is the crazy thing that so many people have a massive blind spot for. They just assume that these agencies and these people are acting in good faith. They're not. So whenever you see them, oh, but they're doing the thing, but they looked into it. No, of course they did. But they're lying. They're doing it wrong on purpose. That's what's going on. So let me get this straight. The Biden administration gets credit for this shit, but then the guy takes the rap and continues to get money? Yes. Yes. And this is the stuff that they're trying... people like CatDany are saying, oh, well, look at this. See, look at them. They're prosecuting it. It doesn't matter.
The chair of the House Fraud and Oversight Committee here.
So this person...
I think they're mostly doing it out of incompetence, to be honest. If they're doing it out of incompetence, why is it that every single manifestation of that is these people getting more money? Because you would assume that incompetence would just be simply dysfunction, right? So if incompetence is not basic dysfunction, it's probably not incompetence.
Owns assisted living facilities, and his wife runs the service provider part of it. So he owns the property. One of the properties was purchased with the same shell company he used to money launder in Feeding Our Future.
They're using the exact same... Bro. Oh my God. This is crazy. Wow. They know exactly what they're doing? Yes, they are. It's Occam's razor? Of course it is. How many people are living in these assisted living places? Probably 2. Just like a guy and his wife.
And now that same shell company has been used to buy a new assisted living facility property. It's unconscionable that they haven't done the most basic due diligence to cross-check that Feeding Our Future defendants aren't getting additional state money.
I think that there is definitely some degree of them just being stupid and lazy, but I think that there's a much bigger degree of them doing this on purpose because they're able to get money and get votes out of it. Because if they go hard and they prosecute these people, they risk losing these people's vote because now you're going after one of their own. And this is the way that they make decisions. Is that, again, like, remember that woman who got afraid and scared whenever she said fraud is bad? The reason why is because they don't care about what's right or wrong. They don't care about, oh, well, this is the, this is the law, this isn't the law. All they care about is acquiring and consolidating resources for people that are in their group. That's it. And so if you're moving against that, you're their enemy. It doesn't matter whether you're enforcing the law or not. They don't care about the law. Answer me, how is the IRS so light on this much tax fraud? They'll bring the wrath of God of someone not paying tax once it's in, but they don't care so much about this. The odds of the reason why is, and also, by the way, tons of people commit tax fraud. They never get in trouble for it. But the reason why the IRS is light on this is because this isn't the IRS. I have every imagination that, like, there's a chance that they actually are paying the IRS. They're paying the IRS just fine, but it's not about the IRS. It's about these other groups instead.
Now, we reached out to this man and his wife and yet to hear back.
It's crazy how many of these average Americans just can't even comprehend the idea of malicious compliance or bad actors. It is.
So reached out to the Department of Human Services here, and they gave us a statement. In part, it basically says, ultimately, they can't cut funding from this guy because he is simply a landlord, essentially because his wife runs the services for these assisted living facilities, essentially kind of passing the buck.
We made a rule that says that we can't do this. Yep, there we go. Yeah, so there's a rule that we invented that we made for ourselves that says that we have to keep giving them money forever. Like, what are we doing? Wait, are we this is insane, isn't it? I proposed a new rule. Yeah. Now they show others how to do the scam. Yes, exactly. Someone brought up in Kirsten Stream a few days ago, the idea of fraud doesn't exist outside the West. What's good for the tribe is always morally acceptable, no matter how fucked. I don't know if it's really entirely about that, but obviously these people are going to do what's in their best interest. That's obviously what it is. America, after 100 million deportations, and they put... Homeland Security posted America after 100 million deportations, and it's a nice car at the beach. Well, you better get started. Oh, and this is another person from CBS. Let's listen to CBS.
According to federal prosecutors, it was really during COVID that fraudsters set up these fake restaurants or sham businesses. According to federal prosecutors, it was really during COVID that fraudsters set up these fake restaurants or sham businesses and health clinics that would provide things like meals to school children or behavioral health services.
You can't listen to this retarded little fat nerd, okay? You don't want to listen to him, but we're going to listen to him.
Or housing to people with addiction. And because during COVID you didn't have the same checks and balances, you had social distancing, you couldn't have the site visits, you couldn't have the in-person inspections. Well, the fraudsters got away with it all and provided the receipts and collected boatloads of cash
That's
from
right.
us, the taxpayers. More than 90 people have been charged in the schemes.
It's like, I would ask a person like this, like, do you really think that it was 90 people that were involved?
Mostly Somalis, and more than 60 people have been convicted. Now you have this viral video getting traction online. It's from influencer Nick Shirley, and he visited several daycares, Somali-owned daycares in the Twin Cities, and basically accused them of doing the same thing.
No, he didn't.
Running these sham operations where kids didn't show up, but still billed the federal government and collected millions of dollars in Medicaid funds. We visited those sites too, as did state inspectors many times over the last 6 months.
And they're all
we found the facts on the ground tell a different story.
Never listen to these people. They're just lying to you. Yep, they're just lying. Any mainstream media that's coming out and talking about this is just lying. Yeah, they're in on it. They're complicit. You have to understand that they want this to be okay because the goals that they have align with making sure that the country is continually overrun by third worlders.
Those daycares, many of them were written up for safety violations.
Yes.
Things like maybe busted equipment or staff training issues, but that's not the same as being fraudulent.
Right.
So it's important to put all of this into context. Granted, fraud is indisputably an issue in Minnesota, and next year it's going to turn up the heat continuously on state officials, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who's running for re-election. And there are 14 programs, Medicaid-funded programs, that are currently under investigation by state and federal government. But childcare is not one of them. Again, this is something we're going to keep following well into next year.
Ignore the fat nerds and these old people. This guy's like 50 years old. We really going to listen to him? We're really going to listen to him? We're going to listen to this idiot? Only 14, he's a lying retard? That's right, it's a lying retard. Never, and again, never listen to this at all. Never take it seriously. He's retard goober playing on your emotions. Exactly. Aren't you almost 40? Yeah, I'm not 50, though, I tell you that. And spiritually, I'm not 35. Like, everybody, see, here's the thing, is everybody's always accusing all these other guys of being old. I never get accused of being old, except for I'm accusing myself. So the thing is that I might be old, but I'm not actually, like, no, what I'm saying is, like, basically, okay, so I don't act that way. Like, there are people that act old. They act like they're old and fat and tired and slow. Nah, bro, that's not me. That's not me at all. You know, an old soul? Nah, I feel like, yeah. No, my real age, my actual age is more like about 25. Okay, guys? And it's going to stay that way, by the way. It's going to stay that way and ain't going to change. So next year, it's still going to be 25. That's it. The video didn't show anything? Yeah, because he's just a retard. He's just a retard out there talking shit. That's all there is to it. Reddit mods need to be held accountable. Nick Shirley exposes Somali fraud still happening in We can't have things like this that could be fake news posted. That's right. Anyone can make a YouTube video with no journalistic standards and say just about anything they want. There are a ton of YouTube videos out there just telling people what they want to hear. If you want to source this from an actual news source, you can. The actual news sources are fake. And the random independent citizen journalists are real. That's the way it actually is. These, every single one of these big companies is just trying to lie to you. They're trying to lie to you so they can continue pacifying you from your righteous and justified anger that your country is being raped, looted, and pillaged by a bunch of third worlders, and it's being enabled by the media and the government, and the entire society is created around making you feel bad and making you afraid to call it out. That's the way it is. Cry about it, maul about it, bitch about it, but it's true. Call them out. That's right. Yeah, all those retards can feel good. Sad, really, isn't it? I know. And guess who's malding? I'm not suicidal. Fuck no. And yeah, it's 100% true. Destiny Robinson, yeah, telling me to trust the same news sources that's sponsored by gambling websites. Yeah, it's so fucking embarrassing, isn't it? But yeah, let me go back. I'll look at a few more of these posts here too. But yeah, there's even more of these. Okay, here we go. After the fraud scandal in Minnesota, a TikToker decided to investigate daycare centers in Ohio, which has the country's second largest Somali population. I wonder what we're gonna find here.
All right, so a lot of this fraud in Minnesota is centered around daycares. And now there are claims about
No, it's not. That's just the fraud that's been discovered so far.
Daycares coming up from Ohio, and this is crazy. I'm just gonna start showing you some of these examples here, but basically Columbus is home to the nation's second largest Somali community behind Minnesota. There's about 60,000 Somali Americans in Columbus, and there's 500 Somali-owned businesses. And if you're not caught up on this, the FBI is now investigating this fraud in Minnesota. They say that it might reach up to $9 billion.
More.
One of the largest Medicaid frauds in American history.
More, way more.
And federal officials have portrayed the Somali community as a hotspot for fraud. And I mean portrayed, but most of the fraud defendants are of Somali descent in Minnesota. So people just started using this tool where you can look up daycare centers in Ohio to look these places up. So here's one, 161 Child Care LLC. And it's listed at this address. So I literally just put this address in my own personal Google Maps. And this is what I see.
Oh, wow.
It's listed as
It's a smoke shop?
Okay, and then here's First Choice Child Care.
First Choice?
It's listed at this address, 4303 Cleveland Avenue. And this is...
That's not my first choice unless I want to make a meth lab. I mean, if I want to make a meth lab, then yeah, I'd go there. Kids? Probably not.
This is what I see. You know, it's just like the windows are all blacked out. There's no playscape. There's nothing for kids.
Yeah, they got gates.
Maybe the photo was taken at the wrong time, but not many cars there. All right, and then there's Bonatti Child Care 2.
Bonatti?
And it's at 3629 Cleveland Avenue. And here we go again.
Oh, wow.
Part of it is a boutique with bars on it. And here's the child care center. These all say 6 weeks to 12 years old. And if you have kids, you would know that most child care centers do not.
Yeah, you don't do that. You have to have them segmented out by different like age groups. Like you don't want to have 3-year-olds and 12-year-olds. That's crazy.
Enroll kids that are between 6 weeks and 12 years old. That's way too big of a spread. But it enables you to get more kids enrolled, hypothetically, or at least claim that they're enrolled. And then you just start looking at the reviews. And so if they even have reviews, like this place got 2 reviews
loves this place.
2 years ago, and they're both 5-star reviews.
Wow.
And again, I don't know if you have kids, but daycares get reviews. Okay, and then you got the Hyatt Learning Center. And
Hyatt?
It's at 2599 Tiller Lane. This place you can't even see on
Oh, I see it. So it's inside of the tree.
Google Maps. But you can see that at this address, there's like all these businesses that are listed there. And that this learning center is just one of them. And
so everything is inside of the tree.
It has no reviews.
Of course.
And then this one,
like
Child
Narnia.
Care, which is listed at 2635 Dublin. And that's this spot here.
Child Care, 1-star award winner. I believe that.
You gotta love the 1-star award winner. But mostly you just notice like there's no playground.
Yeah, there's nothing
no
there.
Kids. And this place is listed as being permanently closed, but it got one review and it's been open since 2018. So in the last, 5-6 years, one review. And it gets spicier because there is this congressperson, Ismail Mohammed, who's of Somali descent, who is receiving campaign donations from these daycare centers. Star Zone Daycare, Bright Kids Academy. All right, so here is Bright Kids Academy. We get the class.
Amazing. Truly amazing. So they're funneling money so they can run their own candidates for public office, and then they can rule over you. That's amazing. Wow.
Classic blacked out windows again. No reviews.
Yeah.
Here is the Star Zone Daycare here. Again, blacked out windows, no cars, no playground. They do have a few reviews, and this lady said it's a joke. The teachers are not trained and are basically women that bring their kids to the center.
Unless you are Somali, there will definitely be a language barrier. There's no structure here. The food is so unhealthy.
And this is going to come back. Here's another one that donated to his campaign, Primo One Daycare. Again, classic, no cars.
Primo One? That sounds like a race car.
Windows. And they had the wherewithal to put up these, nice looking photos. But again, no reviews.
Not a single review.
And here's this one, Rise Up Daycare, which is in this place. Again, classic, no playground.
Uh-huh.
They say that they've enrolled 71 kids.
Right.
Which means they're getting reimbursed for, more kids.
That's a lot of people.
But when they were actually inspected, there was hardly any kids in the building.
So they were enrolled with 70, but they got inspected and they had 1 to 3. So these are people that were basically just putting their own kids in a daycare?
So yeah, it looks like the same scheme that's been used in Minnesota likely seems like it's going on in Ohio.
Yeah.
And when I'm reflecting on this, it just makes me remember that Somalis follow this Islamic tradition where men can marry up to 4 wives, provided
Why is it not 5?
they're able to support them. And based on my research, it just seems like oftentimes what will happen is there will be one official marriage and then more cultural marriages. But then I started thinking about this lady's review where she was like, hey, the teachers aren't trained and they're basically just women that bring their kids to the center. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. That might jive with this whole thing. And so it's like, all right, cool. So if the guys are able to support them is the big thing. But just are we the ones supporting them? And if so, just genuine question. Do we want to do that?
Nope. Should send them all back. There it is. So it's happening again. And just got to hit the button. There's a literal fix everything button, and all we got to do is press it. Press the button. There it is. And then you even have, this is what I think is funny, is that you have this guy right here. This is a legal affairs reporter from Politico who is suggesting that at some point, the amateur effort to knock on doors of home daycares intersects with robust stand your ground laws. Man. That's a threat? Oh no, he's clearly encouraging people to shoot somebody who comes onto their building or comes into their house. Because when I say house, I mean house, not place of business, because they're not doing business. How do we press the button? You just round up all these people that are involved with the scams and you send them back. Anybody, this is what I've said it before, I'll say it again. I say it again and again and again and again and again. I get tired of saying it. Anybody who is a net negative taxpayer needs to go back. So what's this? CNN, this is...
Right now, Republican lawmakers are asking Minnesota's Democratic Governor Tim Walz to resign after renewed focus on a state fraud investigation. A viral YouTube video by a creator who has shared anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim videos in the past.
Time is ticking. This is coming to an end. You can enjoy it while you like it, while it lasts. You're gonna ride this ship to the bottom of the ocean. That's what's gonna happen, pieces of shit. This is what they do. This is a propaganda machine. Same shit, different day. Absolutely. The media is dead. I know.
Fraud investigation. A viral YouTube video by a creator who has shared anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim videos in the past.
This is what they do. This is what they do every time. Thank you, Elon. Keep in mind, if it wasn't for Elon Musk, Nick Shirley would be deplatformed. I want you guys to never forget that. When you're criticizing and complaining about Elon doing something stupid, keep in mind that if it wasn't for him, Nick Shirley would be deplatformed, called a racist, potentially debanked, and totally ostracized from society in every single way. Buying Twitter was a total timeline shift. And if it wasn't for Twitter being bought and free speech being restored, we would still be getting ruled over by these people that want to replace you by third worlders. That's it.
Put a major national spotlight on the investigation. The video claims Somali-run child...
Put a spotlight on the investigation. You see how they're putting a spin on it that implies that Minnesota was already doing something about it. They're trying to kind of pre-flight the idea that he wasn't actually bringing up any new information, and this was just existing information that was happening before then.
Care centers in Minnesota are committing widespread fraud. It provides limited evidence to support the allegation.
Limited evidence. It's very obvious. You don't need it. It's just like, again, we are ruled by people that have an IQ of 101. That's it. This is the majority of people. Well, I mean, literally, it's 100 is the average, but still. No one ever talks to that woman at the end of the video? Yes.
It was a video that was amplified by Vice President J.D. Vance, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and Elon Musk. Now, the FBI and DHS say they are surging resources into Minnesota, including at those child care centers. CNN's Whitney Wild is in Minneapolis. And Whitney, what are you hearing from officials there?
Well, there's one agency saying basically today that they are concerned about some of the tactics that the video shows, but at the same time, they take all allegations of fraud seriously. This has been a problem.
They said they take all allegations of fraud seriously? Okay, well then there's no reason to worry.
In Minnesota for...
See, here's the problem, really. It's that most old people are stupid, and we're going to have to wait for them to die in order to actually have a real change. And I know that sounds like a very crass thing to say, but it's true. The majority of old people that listen to this bullshit and vote are just morons. They're stupid. That's the reason why they get called up all the time and get scammed constantly. That's the reason why they're reposting pictures of Jesus being photoshopped or AI'd as like a fish, and they're saying amen. They're morons. And we gotta wait for them to effectively leave the voting pool. And then maybe this problem can be solved. That's it. The butterbrains? Yep. The young are also from the brainwashing? I know that. But you can approach them in a way that you can't approach the boomer audiences. And it's also that the young people listen to their own like bullshit on the internet, but the reason why mainstream media still exists is basically because of old people. That's the reason why.
Many, many years. You can look it up yourself. There are stories about, alleged fraud at daycares stretching as far back as 2015. There were a round of indictments back then. Fraud continues to simply plague the Minneapolis area and Minnesota at large. There have been, in recent years, Phil, dozens of indictments, at least 80 for various types of fraud, COVID relief fraud, other types of housing fraud. And federal officials basically call this like an ongoing fraud investigation. If you look the latest press release...
The reason why they have an investigation into it is because if they do that, they can stop these people from getting arrested immediately. They do an investigation in order to pause all other legal action in order to effectively protect them indefinitely.
The U.S. Attorney's Office here in Minnesota says 6 more indictments in this ongoing fraud investigation. So this has been going on for quite some time. Local news has been all over this, producing.
This is the thing is like a lot of people like people are so stupid. They don't understand. Like, I am a scammer. I'm a scammer. That's how I know they're doing it. If you're a scammer and you have the mind of a scammer, you can immediately see what they're doing. But the problem is that there are enough people that don't think like that this kind of stuff legitimately confuses them and they buy into it.
Award-winning series on fraud issues in Minnesota. But even still, it wasn't until, as you point out, that video that this fraud issue in Minnesota really exploded. I mean, that video for Nick Shirley has more than 115 million views. It has now caught the attention of very powerful voices in America. Here in Minnesota, we are asking leaders what is going on and what the impact of that video has. So here's our interview with Speaker Lisa DeButh. She is a Republican and explained to us why it is so important for a national spotlight to be shined here on Minnesota.
Is there state dollars?
Nobody cares. Anyway, so that's pretty much about it. And I'm not a scammer, but I don't trust people. Yeah, you should never trust people for this at all. There's no reason to. And And the video isn't even the problem. What is this here? And stop talking about the video. Well, they care about the video because they want to focus on the video rather than something else. And this is apparently James O'Keefe in 2020.
James O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Mohammed, aka King Liban 1, boasts about the hundreds of absentee ballots in his car.
Numbers don't lie. You
see my car is full.
Absent ballot.
Absent. What do you think the probability is that these people cheat elections? Is it 100% or 200%? Yeah. All these ballots are for Jamal. Yep, there it is. And I guess this is probably somebody who's part of their community that they're all trying to collect votes for. Just today, we got 300 ballots.
300 clear months sold out Jamal Usman. Yeah.
There was video. You can see the video. There was a video out and about that he has the ballots in his car.
Yep.
Right. And talking about the only way you can win is with money. I was looking at them and they were not filled. They were blank.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots?
People who work with, like Ilhan Omar.
Where do they pay the money?
Crazy.
The minute we sign the thing, the election, that's what you get paid.
Money is everything. Money is the key in this world. If you ain't got money, you should not be here, period.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, they're taken away from the elderly. It's taken away from the elderly, so they're using old people to vote.
Street,
yes.
There's 3 towers called Horn Towers.
Okay.
And it's all seniors, and they took every ballot.
Every ballot. They just take them from them.
Every single ballot. They knock on the door and say, your ballots come, give it to me, give it to me.
They don't even pay them for it. They just take them.
No.
So they just take the ballots of these old people and then they fill them out? This is pissing me off. Well, again, the reason why nobody wants to go after this is because these people are non-white Democrats. That's the reason why. That's it.
And the ones that didn't vote on ballot.
So you can't approach it in the right way because too many people are afraid to talk about it.
The young people and the women and stuff, they were paying cash. They were getting bags of money the last one.
Wow.
Yeah, to drive people. So there's a vested interest, but we are victims of the system. They don't give a shit about any Somali.
Yep.
2 in the morning, still hustling.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots?
He's just recording himself doing it.
People who work with, like Ilhan Omar and other candidates who work for them. They came to us to our apartments. They tell us that this year you're gonna vote for it. You don't go nowhere, you stay home, we will go fill out for your absentee ballot. When it comes, we'll come and get it. You just don't go nowhere, you stay here.
You have to fill it out
for us.
Yep, and I bet it's like this everywhere. It's not like it's beginning here. This is just what's been going on for a very long time. Do you think they're going to get away with it now? I think they will. Yeah, I do. I think that they will get away with it. And it's just going to continue going. Oh, Elon retweeted. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. Breaking. Streamer Asmongold says the Somalian fraud is far larger than arresting a few Somalians, that entire families must be denaturalized and deported, and that the officials who allowed it to happen must face treason and capital punishments, or he is done voting. Elon, my fucking man. Fucking based.